In the depths of space, aboard the observation vessel Eternal Vigil, first observer Zilix watched the holographic display with mounting disbelief. The small blue-green planet rotating before them defied everything their species knew about habitable worlds. According to their instruments, this Earth should be completely devoid of intelligent life. "Run the atmospheric analysis again," Zilix commanded, their crystalline form shimmering with agitation. The ship's AI complied instantly, but the results remained unchanged. Nitrogen, oxygen, in proportions that would cause spontaneous combustion on most civilized worlds. The gravity was crushing, the temperature variations extreme, and the atmospheric pressure would collapse the exoskeletons of any reasonable species. Yet there they were, billions of bipedal beings not just surviving, but thriving in these impossible conditions. Archivist Tellera, Zilix called to their second-in-command. "What do we know about these humans?" The archivist's tentacles danced across the control interface, pulling up streams of data collected over decades of covered observation. "They're remarkable." First observer, "They drink water containing dissolved minerals that would poison most species. They deliberately expose themselves to radiation from their star for aesthetic purposes. They survive in temperatures ranging from Arctic wastelands to scorching deserts, sometimes traveling between such extremes in the same day." Zilix's crystalline structure pulsed with a mix of horror and fascination, and their physical capabilities. "Beyond anything we've seen," first observer. "They can break bones and heal them stronger. Their muscles tear and rebuild more powerful. They can survive losing significant amounts of their bodily fluids. They even deliberately damage their bodies through something called exercise to become more resilient." The holographic display shifted to show human cities spread across impossible terrain, clinging to mountainsides, sprawling across deserts, even floating on vast oceans. These creatures built their homes in disaster zones, constructed towering structures in areas regularly devastated by earthquakes, and returned to rebuild after every catastrophe their death world threw at them. First observer, Tellera's voice carried an urgent tone. "The latest data from the Nexus is troubling." The display changed again, showing a massive dark mass moving through the galaxy, consuming everything in its path. The Void Plague, an entity of pure entropy that had already devoured 3 civilized systems. Conventional weapons passed through it harmlessly. Energy weapons were absorbed. The most advanced species in the galaxy were helpless against it. "The plague seeks perfect order," Tellera continued, "consuming the carefully regulated environments of our most advanced worlds. But these humans, they live in chaos." Zilix finished the thought, their crystalline form brightening with revelation. "They've evolved in an environment of constant change and destruction. Their very existence defies the order the plague seeks to impose." The first observer made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "Prepare a first contact package. The Galactic Council called us fools for studying such a primitive death world. But these humans, these incredible survivors, they might be our only hope." As the Eternal Vigil moved out of its hiding spot behind Earth's moon, Zilix watched the impossible planet with new eyes. The Council had spent millennia creating perfect, stable worlds. Perhaps it was time to learn from those who had mastered imperfection. In the cities below, humans went about their daily lives, unaware that their harshest trials, surviving on a world that should have killed them, had prepared them to become the galaxy's greatest defenders. The coming days would reveal just how grateful the galaxy would be for humanity's primitive resilience. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the United Nations podium, facing an audience of both human leaders and alien delegates. The holographic images floating above showed the Void Plague's destruction across the galaxy. Behind her, first observer Zilix's crystalline form sparkled under the lights, their alien presence making the historic moment feel surreal. "What our visitors call a death world," she said, her voice steady, "we simply call home. The conditions they find impossible are the very forces that shaped us." She gestured to the environmental data scrolling past. "Where they see crushing gravity, We see the force that gave us our dense bones and strong muscles. Where they see extreme temperatures, we see the pressures that taught us to adapt and innovate. In the audience, General Marcus Rhodes watched the alien delegates' reactions. Their environmental suits hummed and whirred, struggling to maintain the precise conditions their species needed to survive. Meanwhile, humans in the room were comfortable in everything from light dresses to heavy suits, their bodies naturally adapting to the room's temperature and pressure. The void plague consumes ordered systems, Sarah continued, breaking down carefully regulated environments into chaos. But chaos, she smiled. Chaos is our natural state. Earth never gave us the luxury of perfect stability. Every day was a fight for survival, every victory earned through adaptation and determination. Zilix moved forward, their crystalline form casting rainbow patterns across the chamber. We observed your species for decades, unable to comprehend how you survived. You build cities in earthquake zones, knowing they will fall. You establish colonies in floodplains, expecting destruction. You venture into space using controlled explosions, embracing the risk of catastrophic failure. Because we always rebuild, General Rhodes interjected, standing. We always adapt. We always return stronger. The alien delegates murmured among themselves, their universal translators struggling to keep up with their rapid exchanges. The data was undeniable. Human physiology and psychology were uniquely suited to combat the void plague's perfect entropy. In the back of the chamber, Dr. Chen's research partner, Dr. Kenzo Tanaka, pulled up new simulations on his tablet. Sarah, he called out, show them the stress tests. The holographic display shifted to show human performance data. A marathon runner pushing through extreme exhaustion. A free diver surviving crushing depths. A mountain climber enduring thin air and freezing temperatures. To the aliens, each example looked like an impossible feat of survival. Your civilizations advanced by creating perfect environments, Sarah explained. You eliminated variables, controlled every factor, achieved remarkable stability. But in doing so, you may have evolved away from the very adaptability needed to face this threat. Zilix's form pulsed with agreement. The void plague seeks to impose its own perfect order by consuming everything in its path. But it has never encountered a species that thrives in disorder, that grows stronger through adversity. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity's greatest weakness, their harsh, unpredictable homeworld, had become their greatest strength. They were living proof that life could not only survive but flourish in conditions the void plague sought to eliminate. We'll need to adapt our technology, Dr. Tanaka said, already sketching new designs. Combine our resilience with their advanced science, create weapons and defenses that embrace chaos rather than fight it. General Rhodes stood straighter, years of military training evident in his bearing. You're not just asking for our help in fighting this thing. You're asking us to teach you how to survive like we do. Yes, Zilix admitted, their crystalline form dimming slightly in what might have been humility. Our perfect worlds have made us vulnerable. We need to learn what your death world taught you. How to bend without breaking, how to fall and rise again, how to find strength in adversity. Dr. Chen looked out at the assembled leaders of Earth and the galaxy. Then let's begin. You've shown us the stars. Now we'll show you how to survive them. As the meeting continued into the night, plans were made, alliances formed, and a new chapter in galactic history began. The species that had once been dismissed as primitive Deathworlders would now lead the galaxy's fight for survival, teaching their advanced allies the simple yet profound lesson Earth had taught them. True strength comes not from avoiding chaos, but from learning to dance with it. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood in the airlock of the retrofitted human vessel Storm Chaser, watching as her alien counterparts struggled to comprehend what she was proposing. The ship hovered at the edge of a massive stellar storm, the kind of cosmic maelstrom that most species avoided at all costs. You want to fly into that? High Commander Nexel's environmental suit buzzed as it processed their incredulity. The crystalline being's form flickered with distress patterns. The energy discharges alone would destroy our most advanced shields. Maya smiled, checking the seals on her experimental hybrid suit, a fusion of human endurance and alien technology. The void plague travels through normal space by imposing order on chaos. These stellar storms are natural barriers it has to avoid or spend significant energy to cross. We're going to learn how it does that. Dr. Kenzo Tanaka's voice crackled over the comm from his station in the science bay. The storm's radiation and electromagnetic interference will provide perfect cover for close observation. Plus, the chaotic energy patterns are similar to what we've seen in the plague's wake. The alien crew watched in a mix of horror and fascination as the human team made final preparations. Their own ships couldn't get within 1,000,000 kilometers of such conditions, yet these Deathworlders were planning to dive right into the heart of it. "Begin storm insertion sequence," Maya ordered. The storm chaser's engines hummed to life, their unique design incorporating principles learned from Earth's most extreme weather systems. The ship didn't try to power through the storm. It rode the energy currents like a leaf in the wind, adapting rather than resisting. High Commander Nexel's crystalline form vibrated with nervous energy. "Our sensors are already failing. How can you navigate in these conditions?" "We're not just using sensors," Maya explained, as lightning-like energy discharges danced across the hull. "We've learned to feel the patterns in chaos. On Earth, storm chasers track tornadoes by watching debris patterns. Deep-sea explorers read ocean currents by observing marine life. We're applying those same principles here." The ship plunged deeper into the stellar storm. Energy readings that would have fried most systems were absorbed and redirected by the hybrid technology. The human crew moved with practiced ease as the ship pitched and rolled, their bodies naturally adjusting to the irregular movements. "Contact." Dr. Tanaka's excited voice cut through the static. "We've got traces of the plague's passage, just like we theorized. It leaves behind patterns of perfect order, like scars in the chaos." Maya studied the readings. The void plague hadn't just passed through the storm. It had altered it, creating tunnels of absolute calm through the maelstrom. "It's not just consuming order," she realized. "It's afraid of chaos. It has to create safe passages for itself." A massive energy surge rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed as systems struggled to compensate. The alien crew braced for disaster, but Maya's team responded with the calm efficiency of those used to working in extreme conditions. "Rear out power through the electromagnetic buffers," she ordered. "Let's ride this wave and closer to that order pattern." High Commander Nexel's translator struggled to convey their amazement. "You're not just surviving here. You're using the storm's energy against itself. Like your Earth sailors using wind and currents." "Exactly." Maya grinned as the ship surfed another energy wave. "The more we understand how the plague moves through chaos, the better we can predict and counter it. Sometimes you have to dive into the storm to find its weaknesses." The mission continued for hours, gathering crucial data about the plague's movements and limitations. The human crew worked tirelessly, their bodies adapted to stress, and their minds trained to find patterns in chaos. The alien observers watched and learned, beginning to understand why these Deathworlders might be the key to survival. As the storm chaser finally emerged from the storm, its hybrid systems had collected more data about the void plague than months of conventional observation. More importantly, it had proven that humanity's approach to chaos could open up entirely new strategies for fighting back. "Your species truly is remarkable," Nexel admitted as they reviewed the findings. "Where we see only danger, you see opportunity. Where we seek to impose order, you learn to work with chaos." Maya began preparing the mission report, knowing this was just the beginning. "That's what Earth taught us. There's no such thing as perfect control. True strength comes from adaptation, from bending without breaking, from finding harmony with forces you can't overcome." The data they'd gathered would help forge new weapons and strategies, but the mission's greatest success was more fundamental. It had shown that humanity's greatest perceived weakness, their evolution on an unstable death world. might be exactly what the galaxy needed to survive. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility built where tectonic plates collided, Dr. Sarah Chen watched as waves of unpredictable energy coursed through the test chamber. The device at its center, a fusion of human intuition and alien technology, pulsed with an inner light that mimicked the chaos of Earth's core. Status report, she called out to her team, a mix of human scientists and alien observers working in environmental suits. Dr. Tanaka's hands flew across his console, interpreting data streams that would have overwhelmed most computing systems. The entropy field is holding. The device is successfully generating controlled chaos, something the void plague can't predict or consume. In the chamber, the test material, a sample of matter altered by the plague's passage, began to break down. Not through destruction, but through transformation, returning to its natural state of dynamic equilibrium. First observer Zilix's crystalline form shimmered with excitement. Remarkable. You're not trying to impose new order on the plague's perfectly ordered state. You're reawakening the natural chaos that exists in all matter. That's what makes Earth life different, Sarah explained, adjusting the device's settings. We never lost our connection to chaos. Every cell in our bodies knows how to adapt, how to find balance in instability. We're teaching your technology to do the same. Around the world, similar facilities have been established in Earth's most volatile regions. A research station in Iceland harnessed geothermal chaos. A platform in Tornado Alley studied atmospheric turbulence. Each site turned what other species saw as planetary flaws into sources of innovation. General Rhodes entered the control room, his presence commanding attention. The void plague has changed course, he announced, bringing up a galactic map. It's no longer following predictable paths between ordered systems. It's becoming erratic. It's learning, Sarah realized, studying the new patterns. Just like any system of pure order, it's trying to adapt when faced with something it can't simply consume. But adaptation is our specialty. The general nodded grimly. That's why we've accelerated the Chaos Fleet program. The first ships are ready for inspection. The display shifted to show massive vessels under construction in orbital shipyards. Unlike the sleek, perfectly engineered ships of other species, these were asymmetrical, their hulls designed to channel and amplify unpredictable forces. They looked almost organic, like deep-sea creatures evolved to thrive in impossible conditions. We're calling the first ship Earthborn, Rhodes continued. It incorporates everything we've learned about survival in chaos. The hull can flex like human muscle, the power systems pulse like a heartbeat, and the weapons, he smiled. The weapons remind the universe why disorder is its natural state. Dr. Tanaka pulled up the latest simulation results. The test runs are remarkable. The ships don't just survive chaotic conditions, they become stronger in them, just like us. The alien observers watched in amazement as the simulations played out. The ships dove into stellar storms, using gravitational turbulence as shields. They generated fields of controlled chaos that the void plague couldn't approach without losing its perfect order. They were Deathworlds made mobile, carrying humanity's greatest lesson to the stars. There's something else, Sarah added, her expression serious. We've analyzed the plague's recent behavior. It's not just avoiding our chaos zones now, it's actively changing course to eliminate them, like an immune system attacking a threat. We've gotten its attention, Rhodes confirmed. The question is, are we ready for what comes next? Zilix moved closer to the test chamber, their crystalline form reflecting the chaotic energies within. You've done more than create weapons. You've shown us a new way to exist in the universe. Our worlds don't need to be perfect to be strong. Perhaps they're stronger because they're not. The facility shook slightly as a submarine earthquake passed through, a regular occurrence at this depth. None of the humans even paused their work. To them, the constant reminder of Earth's dynamic nature was comforting. It meant they were on the right path. Begin final system tests, Sarah ordered. The Void Plague thinks it can impose perfect order on a chaotic universe. We're going to remind it why chaos has always been the stronger force. As the team worked through the night, perfecting their imperfect weapons, Earth's volatile nature continued its endless dance of creation and destruction. Every tremor, every storm, every surge of geothermal energy reminded them of their greatest truth. They were children of chaos, and they would teach the galaxy to dance with disorder once again. The Void Plague hung at the edge of the Sol system like a perfect black crystal, its surface unmarred by any hint of chaos or imperfection. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Earthborn, watching as the entity that had consumed dozens of worlds tried to comprehend the barrier before it. A wall of pure chaos generated by humanity's combined fleet. "All ships report ready," her executive officer announced. The fleet's formation was deliberately irregular, each vessel positioned to amplify the natural turbulence of space. They weren't just ships anymore. They were artificial storms, human-made gravity wells, carriers of controlled cosmic chaos. "The plague is scanning us." Dr. Chen's voice came through from her station in the science bay. "Its pattern recognition algorithms are trying to find order in our defense grid. But there isn't any. We're maintaining maximum entropy, just like we practiced." Maya watched as the massive entity probed their defenses. The Void Plague had never hesitated before. It had always moved with perfect precision, consuming ordered systems with mechanical efficiency. But now, faced with weapons built on chaos theory and ships that defied prediction, it seemed almost uncertain. "It's starting to understand," First Observer Zilix commented from their position among the alien observers. "For the first time in its existence, it's encountering something it can't simply reduce to perfect order." The plague's surface began to ripple, its perfect crystalline structure attempting to adapt. But adaptation meant accepting imperfection, embracing chaos, the very thing its existence opposed. The entity seemed to shudder, caught between its nature and the need to overcome this new threat. "All ships, execute pattern hurricane," Maya ordered, naming the formation after Earth's mighty storms. The fleet moved in complex, unpredictable patterns, their chaos drives spooling up to maximum power. They weren't just defending. They were about to teach the galaxy's greatest threat why chaos would always triumph over perfect order. The Void Plague struck first, lashing out with beams of pure entropy that had consumed countless civilizations. But the human fleet scattered like leaves in a wind, their asymmetrical ships riding the energy waves instead of fighting them. Where the beams hit their chaos shields, they dispersed into harmless radiation. "Return fire," Maya commanded. "Show it what Earth's children can do." The Earthborn's main weapon activated, not a conventional gun or energy projector, but a device that channeled the same forces that made Earth so deadly to other species. It fired a concentrated burst of chaos, a microscopic storm that carried the full fury of a planetary core. The beam struck the plague's perfect surface, and for the first time in recorded history, the entity recoiled. Where the chaos touched it, its perfect crystalline structure began to fracture, order giving way to natural entropy. "Multiple impacts confirmed," Dr. Tanaka reported excitedly. "The plague's outer shell is destabilizing. It can't maintain perfect order while processing so much chaos." The entity tried to adapt, tried to impose its perfect order on the weapons striking it. But each human ship fired differently, each burst of chaos unique and unpredictable. There was no pattern to analyze, no order to impose. Only the pure, raw entropy that had forged humanity in Earth's crucible. "It's trying to retreat," General Rhodes announced from his command ship. "Don't let it escape. Show it why you don't threaten a species that learned to thrive in chaos." The human fleet moved as one, not in perfect formation, but in harmony with disorder itself. They had spent generations learning to fight forces they couldn't control. Now they were teaching that lesson to a being of pure order. The Void Plague's perfect surface cracked and splintered under the assault. Where once it had been a single perfect crystal, now it became billions of fragments, each one unable to maintain the absolute order it required to exist. The entity that had threatened the galaxy was being unmade not by superior force or advanced technology, but by the very chaos it had sought to eliminate. "Look," Maya said softly as the entity's fragments dispersed into normal space. "Even in defeat, it's beautiful. Everything returns to chaos in the end. That's the natural order of things." As the fleet regrouped, signals came in from across the galaxy. The portions of the plague attacking other systems were breaking down, their perfect order disrupted by the death of the main entity. Humanity had not just defended their system, they had saved the galaxy by reminding it of its chaotic nature. "I understand now," Xylix said, their crystalline form pulsing with emotion. "We thought perfection was the ultimate goal. We tried to create perfect worlds, perfect societies, perfect order. But you showed us that true strength comes from imperfection, from chaos, from the ability to adapt and change." Maya smiled as she looked at the sensor readings showing the plague's remnants returning to natural matter. "That's humanity's gift to the galaxy. We're not just teaching you how to survive chaos, we're showing you how to embrace it. Because in the end, chaos isn't our enemy. It's the force that gave birth to us all." As the human fleet turned toward home, their victory sent a message across the cosmos. The species that evolved on a death world, that learned to dance with chaos instead of fighting it, had become the galaxy's greatest defenders. They had proved that sometimes the harshest conditions create the strongest guardians, and that true power comes not from imposing order, but from finding strength in disorder. Earth's children had risen to face their greatest challenge, and they had won not by becoming perfect, but by remaining gloriously, powerfully imperfect.